everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Therapy. I'm John Johnston. It is Colorado week. And I say that with such joy because, you know, unlike the other team that we faced this week, we kicked the shit out of our first week opponent. Well, they struggled with some lowly, poopy butt, farting around team that just ran the ball on them. And, you know, sometimes they didn't even run that fast. They ran like I ran the ball on them. And they still had holes to run through. Holes, giant holes. All right. I'm here with Jack and Ryland, and they're from Ralphie Report, the SB Nation Colorado Buffaloes. They're actually Colorado Buffalo guys. And I'm sure that at least given the percentages from what I understand of people who attend the University of Colorado, at least one of them is a trust fund baby.
Thank you for that introduction. Ryland, is that you? I don't think that's me, unless I don't know about something.
I don't think it's me either, so I don't know, Jack. Do you have something you need to tell me?
I would love to find that. I can tell Steven
yeah, me too. That would be nice.
So,
I could use that right now.
That would be great.
Okay. According to the other percentages, one of you is stoned.
I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you, not me.
Me again?
You again.
Well, you know, everything is legal in the state, thankfully.
Yeah, it's true.
If we wanted to do that sort of thing. But no, unfortunately not tonight. As you can see behind me, it's my second night with two kittens. So got to keep my wits about me.
What? We'll get into that later. Okay, Jack, we're going to start with you. Last year, I had you on the show during Colorado week. You kicked our ass in that game. You know, whatever. We gave the game to you. We just said, here, you know what we're doing? We're not going to be just, you know, selfish. We were givers all season last year, and it started with Minnesota and Colorado. But last year when I had you on the show, I asked you, you know, what do you think about Deion Sanders? And you said something along the lines of, our football program has been so bad for so long that it doesn't, you know, the winning part, if he can win some games, that's great, but it's Deion Sanders. He's bringing in all this attention. He's bringing in all the, you know, I mean, the guy is still bringing in unbelievable amounts of attention. Do you still feel the same way about him that you did last year?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah. As someone who attended all the games last year too, and then also all the games in 2021 and 2022, that alone was worth the difference. It was very fun to be in Boulder at least 7 weekends in fall. In 2023, and that was a fun change. So I would say as long as that keeps happening, I'm going to be pretty happy. I would also say that with the changes this year, you'd hope you don't go 4-8 again. That would be disappointing. But hey, you know, a 22-point scoring margin improvement and a 3-win improvement every year, I'll take that all day.
Ryland, what about you? I mean, what right now, second year Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, what am I supposed to call him? Because apparently if you call him the wrong things, you don't get to talk to him anymore or something.
Just don't call him the Bruce Lee of BS, which is what Sean Keeler called him. That's what he got in trouble for. But yeah, I mean, I feel like just call him by his name, Coach Prime Deion. That's what he likes the most.
Well, entering the second year, what's your thoughts on where you're at with the Colorado program, this team? What do you think?
So there's actual expectations for good football to be played this year, which necessarily wasn't the case since, I guess, 2021. We didn't know what we were getting ourselves into going into last year, and then TCU happened, and then Nebraska happened, and then there was an expectation for good football to happen. But now, you know, there's kind of a bowl game or bust mentality going on right now. So yeah, I think it's a fun time to be up there, but a little stressful.
So you saw your first week. I mean, I have my opinions about it, but what did you see in the first week that, well, you 4-8 last season. What did you see in the first week against NDSU that gives you hope that you're going to make a bowl game this season?
Travis
Jack.
Hunter. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to go first. We talked at the beginning about the holes in North Dakota State opened up, but their yards per carry was a little less than 4, which I don't even know how many times that happened last year. Couldn't have been more than 2. And then the yards per carry, if you take out the quarterback, was 2.7. You can't do that, obviously, but something to look at, that there was a semblance of trying to stop the run, which is fun to see. I think the other thing that happened, and I might be corrected live on the spot, but I believe Shedeur Sanders only got sacked 1 time against North Dakota State. And you might be saying it's North Dakota State, but it really didn't matter who it was last year. Shedeur Sanders is going to get sacked more than once. So that was refreshing to see, that there was at least pass blocking dummies out there at the time. And if not pass blocking dummies, they actually moved their arms and protected sometimes too. That was great. Last year, I don't even remember how many sacks Nebraska had in Folsom. I think it was like 9 or something crazy. I don't know if that's going to happen again. So I just think those are 2 big positives on both sides is, when Deion Sanders made wholesale changes to the offensive and defensive lines, I think the talent looked better up front on both sides. And then the other positive that I'll just stop before Ryland can take the baton. I think the other big positive to take away is Travis Hunter is still on the football team.
Ryland.
Yeah, Travis Hunter's very, very, very good at football. I think he played every single defensive snap in all but 2 offensive snaps, and he played 7 special team snaps. I think the final stat line was 11 catches for 132 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's not bad. That's quite good. Elite talent on this roster is like it's really up there. You have him, you have Shedeur Sanders, you have Jimmy Horn, LeJontay Wester, who I know Jack is a huge fan of, Will Shepherd, who we didn't really see a lot of against North Dakota State, but you will. Just on offense, the firepower is so absurd. Like, that's got to be a top 5 wide receiver room in the country.
Okay, when I look at like a team like Ohio State, I mean, Nebraska is going to play Ohio State, the 8th game this season. When I look at them, I see a complete team that, honest to God, could lose their entire first string and still have so many weapons. It's unbelievable. Colorado has, like you said, I mean, they have a lot of offensive talent. I could talk smack about this, but, Travis Hunter, my God, I like Travis Hunter. I like the whole video games thing because I'm a gamer. He's cocky on the field, but you got to have something on the field, right? You can't just, when you step onto the field, you usually become a different person than you are, wearing ones where you're playing, but he's playing. But I respect the guy. Shedeur Sanders, I think, is a quality, talented quarterback. If you were these guys, wouldn't you just run 4 verts every play? I mean, is there a reason to run anything else?
Well, they did that for a decent amount of the game, I think. They stopped running the ball partially because it was just easier to throw the ball against North Dakota State secondary when you have those 4 guys. And Pat Shermer, I will say, in the NFL also had a penchant for running 4 wide. I think that's going to happen a decent amount of the time. To your point, CU starting tight end was Ohio State's 2nd string tight end in spring ball. So we are taking one of those 2nd stringers, but I believe he was injured last game and may continue to do so. So, I would say, you should just run 4 verts, hopefully, and hope one of those guys pops off. I don't know. I think it worked pretty well last year too. I hope they do it again this year.
Okay. Defense. You mentioned defense. You mentioned that they at least, look like they have a semblance of a defense that was better than they had last year. I don't know what the stats was last year. I guess I could look them up, or I should have been prepared maybe, but I was just going to sling shit at you guys most of the night. But we're getting a little serious here. What gives you hope that the defense can, I don't know, keep people under 30 points a game?
Before Ryland answers seriously, I'll say hopefully we can get the starting middle linebacker to be Jeff Sims and just do fumble voodoo on the field again. That would be fantastic. I don't think he's doing anything right now. So if we can just swap him in real quick, that seemed to be the best play CU ran last year was the Jeff Sims drop the ball play. It was fun to watch. It was simple, and I hope we can do that again this year.
I agree. On paper, this defense should be better than allowing 26 points to North Dakota State. Completely revamped the defensive line. You have bringing in guys like BJ Green, who was second team All Pac-12 at defensive end, and they took both of Pitt's starting defensive ends. You get Chidozie Nwankwo from Houston, who's a big guy capable of like clogging up the holes and stopping the run game. Run game looked pretty good, but the linebackers kind of were what killed us. I feel like they were just too slow, and we were last season. Everyone, if you're on Colorado Twitter, which I'm sure the Nebraska fans are not, you saw all of us complain about the short crossers the whole season. Like we were just getting beat across the middle of the field every single play, and that we saw that again. Where like North Dakota State was running the spread, and the linebackers were asleep for like half the game. The linebackers are the returning starters from last year. It's Levante Bentley and Trevor Woods, who's a safety convert. We'll have to see on that. There's definite potential for like first game of the season rust. But yeah, that was a little concerning.
All right, we're going to take some comments because these are piling up. Mike Corrigan starts with this one. I think Nebraska really should have won the previous 3 meetings with Scum. What? That okay?
I disagree. I actually like how they ended.
How does he start? Well, Scott Frost did have that lead in that one and threw it away like a. Well, we also what came of him. Aaron comes out with Colorado whipped out their 4th-string running back as a show of power. Was that true?
It's probably Charlie Offerdahl on Ryland.
He's going to start for us.
Yeah, I think
he's going to be our starter. He's number 1 on the depth chart.
Aaron, I agree with Aaron. I think he should be number 4, but he's not. They love him. They love him. So I'll take it as a show of power. I really just think they really like what he does.
Beetle B says, "Be humble, Huskers. It's a shit show in Boulder." Do you guys agree with this?
Does he mean like generally, like the town, or does he mean like Deion Sanders is the CU football program's a shit show? Because in the second
pick one.
Well, I'll take the second one first. Like,
okay,
I guess maybe I would say like it's obviously very public. Everything is very public, which is new and exciting. But I'd rather be hated than irrelevant, I think. And those are the 2 options presented to us. Partially, and it's worked out much better this way, I think, than losing every game by like 30 points, which was happening before he was hired. So I don't know.
Right. Ryland.
Yeah, I don't know. This is very new to us, I guess, just being relevant for the first time since 2016. And everything that happens in that building is broadcast on Deion Sanders Jr.'s YouTube channel. Like that's pretty unprecedented. So you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I don't know. A lot of this stuff is probably happening in other programs. It's just not being broadcast so public across the web. So, there's that.
Well, do you think it actually causes problems? You know what I mean? Other than hate and other than, everybody wants to see Colorado lose every game ever.
Yeah.
Does it cause problems?
Well, I think what it does is run risk, right? You're running risks that other programs don't necessarily. And some of that is after things are published that people will take those quotes, turn them into stories, and then those stories get turned into stories about those other stories. And then at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of people mad about something a player said in a 30-minute video, which is a risky run. And then the other risky run is people who come to see you just to be in a 30-minute video every day, right? And you hope that scouting and coaching and development takes out that second risk. But I think like on actual on-field play, that's the biggest one. Everyone likes the Dan Lanning quote. Cormani McClain said it as he left too. You don't want to be playing for clicks, right? And that's the actual risk you run. I think they've done a pretty good job of exercising some of those demons, but that risk remains to me.
All right, let's see. Fred Sacco comes in with you said this. There's actual expectations for good football to be played this year. Oof, those expectations are way too high. What do you think of that statement?
I think Nebraska fans and Colorado fans have both fallen prey to high expectations in the last 7 years that have definitely not been met.
Don't disagree.
You really?
I was also in the stands in 2018 when CU started 5-0 and was ranked, and then decided to lose 7 straight, and Mike McIntyre got fired that year. That was pretty crazy too, with some nice high expectations thrown in. That was also the year that CU beat Scott Frost in his first home game.
Right.
Yeah, talk about high expectations. I think the whole Scott Frost era might be referenced in a similar way. I think there's good football players, which is why the expectations for good football are there. And also, I will say, I think last year too, we did see some of that, at least in our CU football sliding scale. There were some fun things, especially obviously at the beginning of the year. But there was like competent quarterback throwing passes downfield, which was fun to watch. I don't know. It was hard to find that for a long time. That's fun to watch.
Okay, Fred Sacco comes in again. Fred's he's an interesting cat. He's always here and he's always got things to say. Serious question, and I mean it because most of his stuff is pretty. He's a good shit slinger. Do the two Colorado guys actually think they'll have a winning season? And if they don't, will the fans want Deion and his toes gone?
Ryland, that's all you.
Yeah, I do actually think they'll have a winning season. If you look at the record, I think 6-6 is pretty doable. Or if they're not this record, the schedule 6-6 is pretty doable. So that's a win in our book. Just going to a bowl game is a win in our book. And if they don't, I think there's no way that Deion Sanders gets fired because he makes this school so much money. Like, it's not even funny. So he's like the cash cow. They're going to keep him around as long as they can reasonably because just the paychecks coming into Boulder because of him are insane.
Yeah.
You know what?
To finish
Go ahead.
off, the Vegas over-under is 5.5. So I think they put us right at that mark. If you add to the homer bias of 1.5 wins, I think 7-5 seems I can easily imagine that world. And the other thing to talk about, I don't think there's any chance Deion Sanders goes anywhere. And you can talk about off the field stuff too. But once again, on the field stuff, no other team in the country made a higher improvement in scoring margin year over year than Colorado did. And you don't have to do that again to keep your job, right? You just have to keep going up. So that should tell you how bad CU was in 2021 and how massive of a gulf the improvement was to 4-8, which is a very sad thing to say, but that's where the program was. So no, I don't think there's any chance.
Okay, you mentioned that he's bringing in gobs of money to Colorado, and I'm going to bring this up, and I can't remember what article. Whatever. I should have written down what article it was and give him credit for it. But it says the University of Colorado Boulder is reporting a record number of applicants for the fall 2024 semester and a 50.5% increase in Black applicants, both of which may be partly due to the prime effect of hiring Deion Sanders to coach the school's football team in December 2022. The school said Friday it has received and processed a record 67,664 applications for first-year students, up nearly 20% from last year and climbing. The admissions office is still processing the late applications. I mean, I want to make jokes about this, but there's really not any jokes to be made. The fact is the guy has brought a bunch of publicity. And, I frequently bring up that there's an enrollment cliff, coming in universities, and universities are going to get slaughtered all over the place. And there's going to be bankruptcies and schools going out of business. I think the thing that people, when they look at Deion Sanders, is they're like, there's no way he's going to stay past his kids. This is Shedeur's last year. and I believe it's Shiloh's last year as well.
Yep.
And people are like, "There's no way he's staying. He's just there to get them into the NFL. There's nothing more to him than just a storefront kind of movie screen kind of thing going on." What do you guys think? First of all, what do you think of the applicants thing? I guess I shouldn't be shocked by that because you got a lot of naysayers out there, but college football does, a winning college football team or a team that isn't irrelevant does bring a lot of attention to a school. And I guess, what do you think of this stuff?
Yeah, I think it's hard to think of another change that would have affected those numbers in the similar way in that time frame. So all in all, I guess I personally think it's a little shocking that so many people make their decisions off of football teams to see on TV. But if they do, that's great news for CU, right? And that's fantastic. And even if Deion Sanders does leave this year, those students don't, right? And those people don't, and the connections don't. So I guess we watch Mel Tucker leave in 1 year too. It doesn't bother me too much if he does leave, if he doesn't leave. The effect is still there. And like you said, it is not a fun time to be a university admin or university president right now. It's not a fun time to be anyone involved in long-term decision-making for a four-year university. If Deion Sanders makes your job easier to bring in players, then that's easily worth it.
Ryland, you got any thoughts on the application thing and if he's going to stay? Should I read this comment first?
Go ahead.
Linda Wilkins, who is also one of our regulars, says, Prime will not build that program. He will leave Colorado like John left beer cans in college with very little regard where they land. That's probably a very true set. They probably all biodegraded by now. It was so many years ago, though.
Were you a Busch Light man, John? What was your drinking choice?
I was a free guy. Whatever the hell was there.
Nice.
You don't have it anymore, but we used to have, what generic beer is?
Well, I mean, I know what 3-2 beer is. Is it similar?
No, generic beer was just this can. It was a white can with a black lettering that said beer. That was it. We bought cases and stuff. It was the cheapest stuff available. It was beer. What we call it? Generic beer. We called it beer. There you go. I drank a lot of that because, if you drank the first three really fast, you didn't care what 4 through 20 tasted like. I mean, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
And great choice of numbers with 4 and 20. That was very smart. Well done.
Okay. 420 blaze it. All right. Ryland, what do you? It's Coach Prime going to stay past this year?
Yeah, that's hard to answer. Because his 2 kids are leaving, and his adopted kid, essentially Travis Hunter, is also going to be going to the NFL.
Right.
That's kind of how he got into coaching. I think if he has if the opportunity is presented to him to go to a significant upgrade, he will take it. Let's say when Billy Napier is eventually fired after Florida's nightmare of a schedule and that job opens and Florida offers him that job, I think that there's a serious chance that he may take that Florida job. But a lot of it is dependent on if he gets offered that opportunity. And if he does, I think that he might take it, and he probably will take it.
Do you really? I guess, honestly, listen, I look at where Deion Sanders is in year 2, and it's still so much flash, and it's still so much, it still looks to me like that storefront thing. And I look at Matt Rule, and we have God knows how many players that I don't think we can do, we're not Ohio State, for God's sake. We can't lose 2 people at the first level of depth and still be good. But we are playing gobs of players. We can lose players at positions. We could lose 2 wide receivers and still play good, 2 running backs and still play good. Maybe not a quarterback, but do you really think he's a coach? I guess I don't see it.
Yeah, I guess I do. I think at the very least he puts a headset on and says things for 3 hours in a football game.
Well, okay, it requires more than that.
I mean,
if you go to Florida, if you go to Florida,
that's what I'm like. Dabo Swinney, I think, is a similar model of, and it's obviously not working out now, but hey, I'll take a run.
Well,
like Dabo
Dabo's
Swinney
done things. You know
is
what
a
I mean?
motivator, right? Like I don't know how much X's and O's he ever did at Clemson, but he absolutely was there to recruit, motivate, and develop a program. I think that third part is probably where people disagree on what the difference is, but it feels like the same thing to me. He's definitely not an X's and O's guy, but I think he can do that and still succeed in college. Bill McCartney was an X's and O's guy, really.
Okay.
That's my thought.
This is
Go ahead, Ryan.
this is why we're here. So I can get things off my chest and you guys can fight me.
Yeah. So I agree with Jack. I don't know how much actual football he's doing, like the X's and O's, but if you're smart enough to surround yourself with smart people, and you can argue if Pat Shurmur's a smart person, and I do think the defensive coordinator and Robert Livingston is a smart person, then you're already a successful coach. He is like the CEO motivator type, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's bringing top level talent to Boulder. He's doing it through unconventional means, but it's happening. So you can't knock him for that. It's not the traditional route, and yeah, it is somewhat similar to kind of what Dabo's doing at Clemson, and to an extent, you can probably argue that it's somewhat similar to what like Urban Meyer did at Ohio State and Florida, where he's not doing a whole ton. He's just kind of deferring to other people who are around him who are also smart. So, yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Fred Sacco. My God, Travis Hunter is good at football, sweep, but you're apparently so thin he has to pretend he's in the Northwestern shower and play both ways. This is the kind of comments we get from Fred. What is the deal with him playing both ways? I mean, he can play both ways. He literally is an unbelievably talented player. But don't you think we did this last year? He's going to get worn down as the season goes on, or is he just going to be that good? Or is this an attempt for Colorado to? If he plays at this level that he did in the first game for the entire season, he's a Heisman Trophy winner.
If you win, you got to win. But yeah, I think so.
There's been very cases where in the past, where Heisman Trophy winners are on losing teams. Byron Wizard White, I think, did he not win the Heisman? Yeah. Did he not win the Heisman for Colorado?
He did not, unfortunately.
No,
he led the country in rushing and then was drafted by the Lions before he could do his senior year.
So why is he playing? Is he going to play both? Is he just that good? He's just that good. We know.
Yeah, he's your best player on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. So you got you.
Go ahead, Ryland. Sorry.
No, yeah, you go.
Well, I was just gonna say, like the line from him and both Coach Prime is that he just gets bored if you don't do it. So that's why he plays both ways, is because he gets bored if he's not. And then you go ahead and finish up, Ryland. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, he's your best player on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball. Probably he's generational. You don't get. Probably the closest comparison that you could make to him is like Michigan Charles Woodson in 1997. He's just that good at football, and you want to have him on the field for your team as much as you possibly can. And he doesn't get tired. If you can have him out there, he doesn't get tired. He doesn't get worn down. Why take him off the field?
The whole getting bored thing makes sense to me. Talk at a Town podcast comes in with guns firing, but why does it matter if he stays or leaves? Does that give you all more wins or make you feel warm inside? Useless topic. It's a topic that people bring up. So this is my chance to get the Colorado side of things. And listen, sometimes you got to bring up topics so you can get people's opinion on them, and then you can move on to other things. Like Husker Chuck says, it will be interesting to see if the transferred method of building a team ultimately works. I suspect it is not sustainable. What do you guys think of that? Because there is this dichotomy between Matt Rule and Deion Sanders, where you guys are. I remember earlier in the year, what was it? Somebody asked Deion about Coach Prime, about how many players were leaving, and he says, well, who left? And they were all backups. And I reacted to that when you still need backups to do reps and practice and stuff. Whereas Nebraska has like 150 players on the roster. Matt Rule's complained that we're going to have to go down to 105 and they would prefer to have more so they can do reps in practice. They're literally two complete opposites.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do my Shane Gillis. From now on, I'll just do my Shane Gillis move. Okay,
I mean,
whatever.
it's hard to script a more fun way, I think, to do the Colorado-Nebraska rivalry than what's happening right now. Because, like you said, it's completely different. And Matt Rule, if you were to look at a program builder stereotype, he has all of them, right? And that's like, I think, also very fun. I really like Matt Rule. He does a lot of the things with no shortcuts, whatever you want to call that, the right way. I think in the end, it just makes it more interesting and fun to have these two teams next to each other. I don't know. Deion Sanders bringing in talented players through the transfer portal may or may not be sustainable. I don't know how long he stays, but it's just fun to have talented players. It's just good to have talented players. And I guess you ride that until you can't anymore, in my opinion. So, sure, I think it would be great to have backups, and it would be great if no one transferred and CU's roster size just kept growing by the amount of transfer portal additions they bring in. But that's not how Deion Sanders is ever going to work. So until then, you keep trying to add talent on top of what you already have, and you hope you get better every offseason. That seems like that's the goal of every team. He just does it a little differently.
Braska Rascal says no player has won Heisman Trophy on a team who has won less than 8 games. That might. I think back in 1930. Okay, whatever. Okay, where are we at? We're at 32 minutes. I'm going through. Wait a minute. You know what we need to do? We need to poop. We need to check in on another job that may be opening up that you know what? That Deion Sanders might be really interested in, and that is right now it is the third quarter, 11:58. Boston College leads Florida State 21-6.
They scored again? Oh my!
And I don't know if did you guys watch this game before we came on?
I did. I love Tommy C. Give me some more Thomas Castellanos, man.
That Florida State team just looks like the dead people walking. They just look like we can make jokes about don't play a game in Ireland, but in fact, the last week I tweeted at some Knowles people. I said, you guys should just go ahead and fire your coach now rather than having hope for the rest of the season. And it's looking like, I mean, if the Florida State job were to open up, that's the job, right?
Oh, I would say that bridge might be a little burned right now. They are not. I don't think either of them are very happy with each other right now, Deion Sanders and Florida State University.
Oh, really?
No, yeah. So I don't know too much about the admin side, but I do know that a lot of Florida State alumni are upset that he lists his alma mater as Tallahassee College, where he actually got his degree from, and not Florida State University. And there's a few other things that went on. I know he really wanted an interview or at least more of a shot when they hired Mike Norvell. I think the fact that they did not give that to him does not sit that well. But I don't know too much about the interiors of the situation.
Okay. Sean Keeler, did he deserve that? I got to ask this question because honestly, if you guys wouldn't have responded to me, I was going to text him and say, would you please come on my show and tell me what you think of listen, the Bruce Lee of BS line was the best. The Athletic did that article about the things that he said about Deion Sanders. That was the funniest one I saw. I mean, I maybe I'm getting you guys in trouble if you actually go sit in a press box with these people. They're going to look at you and go, you bastards. But did Sean Keeler deserve to get cut off? I see people on Twitter saying he's a grouchy old man. Some people say, he's a guy doing fair critiques. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I am in the press box, and I was at that press conference, and so I'm kind of walking on eggshells here because I know Keeler. But
okay.
I think something that's important to note is that Keeler is a columnist. He's not a reporter.
Right.
He's allowed to share his opinion. And the school is also allowed to not field questions from him if they choose not to. You can feel whoever you want about that, but they have that authority to do that. So that's all I'm going to say before I get myself in trouble.
Yeah, I you know what? I understand that. I did listen. If you listen to this and you say, well, that guy should give his own opinions, you know, being in the press box is a privilege. It's not a right. They can easily take it away from you, whatever decisions or whatever reasons they want to make. You know, I swore a lot on a football field 2 years ago, and I don't get to be on that football field anymore because of that. So there you go. Jack, what do you think? The whole Sean Keeler thing.
Yeah. You know.
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
I want to add something to this question, just for you.
Okay.
Is Sean Keeler a problem, or is this just a method that Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, has of keeping himself in the limelight? Because he's a smart guy. He knows that if he cuts off one media person, the entire media corps, the entire world is going to be complaining about it. And again, he's back and he stays in the limelight. Colorado stays in the press. What do you think of that comparison?
That would be a very bold way to do it. I guess he's a very bold guy. I don't know about that. Yeah, that would be I would rather if that was a plan, I would rather he just revealed the uniforms a week early and did it that way. As opposed to what he did. I guess my personal preference would be that any representative of the university I attended was able to field questions from anyone or just say no comment. But I am not like Ryland. I'm not in the press box every week, so I don't have to adhere to the same standards, and also I don't have the same insight into some of those things. So my personal preference would be that, like, I guess of course everyone gets along. I can also see how someone might be personally offended if someone calls you a liar a lot in print. That might not be that fun, but I guess, you know, also these are the highest paid employees in every state in the country. When you come down to it, the football coaches are. So, you know, I would hope that means everyone can ask a question and you don't have to necessarily answer it. But I'm also here in my living room saying this on a YouTube show, and he is coaching a football team for millions of dollars. So,
hey, what? You disparaging YouTube? What the hell? I'll have you know, first name says John Johnston is a state treasure.
I agree. You
There
are
you
a
go.
state treasure.
It's
You're a
true.
delight. You're a delight, John.
Okay. You know what? We're gonna move this. Let me go through these. We got score predictions in there. We'll get to those at the end. Andy Harris says Norvell fired by Monday if they don't pull this off.
That'd be early.
You know, I don't hate. There's a lot of Nebraska fans that hate Florida State. I don't hate Florida State. You know, I'm old, crusty. The Bobby Bowden years were fun to watch. It was a good battle with them all the time. I can't believe what's happened to their football program. Of course, I can't believe what's happened to ours too. Maybe we're coming out of
that. Same here, man. Bring back the 90s. Let's get the whole gang back together.
Okay, let's go down here. Let's see. We're gonna. Oh, I have to get this one out of the way. Husker Nation 1 says, "Do you think Shedeur will fake an injury this game?"
I guess I don't know if they offer bets on that. If it stops the clock and allows the defense to get on the field again, then maybe. I don't know.
Is anybody denying that?
I hope not. That was the most obvious thing I've ever seen. But they didn't call anything, and the defense went on the field, which is why players keep doing it until the rule changes. The same thing happened against CSU last year in overtime. It seemed like CSU got a case of cramps, but no, not really cramps, for a few plays at the end of that game to stop the clock. You know, I wish they changed the rule, but it was obvious to me.
If you can do it, you can do it.
I don't disagree with that. It's normally you got to throw stuff at the other team because you guys are Colorado and we're Nebraska, but honestly, it was kind of a smart move given that there's no defense on the field when he just went down and grabbed his leg. Okay. Melissa Gitchell says we will wear him out with our fast wideouts. She's referring to Travis Hunter. Let's talk about what do you think Colorado is going to try to do to Nebraska on offense? Is there any really
Like when
secret to
Nebraska's
this?
on offense or when CU's on offense?
When Colorado is on offense.
Okay. That's a great question. I guess, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say that Nebraska's pretty obvious strength is the defensive line, just like last year. I think pretty strong up front. I also think that there's a pretty good secondary back there too. I would argue that the game plan will be to spread them out as much as possible and to see if you can do some more of the North Dakota State action of run plays that are actually pass plays, so quick screens, quick outs, get cheap yards that way. And once again, I will plug a Jeff Sims play would be great. If we can start every drive from the opposing 40 or faster, that'd be awesome.
Ryland?
Yeah, I expect them to attempt to establish the run game in the first quarter, and we'll see where it goes from there. If they're running the ball, if they're averaging more than 3 yards per carry, then they're going to continue to do that. If not, they're going to air the hell out of that football exactly like they did against North Dakota State. You're going to see a lot of go routes. You're going to see a lot of Jimmy Horn going down the field. Yeah.
Why? The Shedeur spends about half the game running all. There was something they said last week, that his toughness is underrated, which he is. I mean, he gets hit a lot and he's got to run around a lot. He seems to have endless energy, just like Travis Hunter. But why not shorter passes? Why not more screens? Why not more draws? We're going to come after him because you cannot let Shedeur Sanders stand back there. I know as Nebraska fans, we want to make fun of him, but he is a talented player and he has talented wideouts. And if you just let him stand there, he'll just shred everybody. So why not more short stuff, more crossing, screens, draws, that kind of stuff?
I think you did see more of that compared to last year in that first game. It's hard to overstate how much he got destroyed last year in every single game. Like it was, it might look like he was running around for his life against North Dakota State, but it seemed much more relaxed compared to what we saw in 2023. I happened to travel for the UCLA game last year too at the Rose Bowl, and that is burned into my brain. That was the last game that Sean Lewis called as offensive coordinator. Where they were literally teeing off every single play, and there was no adjustments to that. So I think that we did see an improvement. I think some of the longer plays you see develop is Shedeur getting himself in trouble sometimes. He hates giving up on a play, which you need to.
Right.
Like sometimes you just need to. So you see him get himself into trouble at times, but I saw him step up a few times in North Dakota State into a pocket that existed, which was not a possibility last year. So, I guess this is the tale of two teams where I'm coming fresh off of 2023 Colorado, and I was like, we did some more short passes, and he didn't get hit that much. And I'm sure normal teams or teams that weren't 130th in sacks allowed were more like, why is he still running around so much?
Ryland?
Yeah, I agree with Jack. I think you are seeing it when you're watching these highlights, the big play. Like, I think a lot of this sentiment comes from people watching like the 18-minute like condensed games on YouTube. If you're really watching this game, you will see Shedeur check it down because, I mean, his completion percentage is so high for a reason. It's because he is taking the short passes quite often. But I expect to see that happen as well. Like when you can't run the ball like a team like Colorado can't, then you got to do like the short pot passes and the dink and dumps a lot because that's essentially how your team is going to run the ball. So you will see it, and it does happen a lot more than people think. But just that big play potential on the Colorado offense kind of trumps it and makes it look less significant.
So I got to ask this question. This is one I wrote down, but I didn't share it with you guys because I wanted to see the looks on your face. How many free first downs is Shedeur Sanders going to give to Nebraska?
2. 2.
My answer is, I guess, as many as it takes to win. Yeah, that guy likes to hit people, man. And I wish sometimes he didn't do it as late as he does it. However, I will say he saved that game for CU against North Dakota State because no one else was able to tackle that quarterback one-on-one. So I guess maybe all the extra practice after the whistle pays off because he's a pretty sure tackler.
What do you expect Nebraska to do on offense? You guys answer that, and I'll tell you what I think that we should be doing.
I think that you're going to see Raiola air it out less than obviously you saw against UTEP. I think that they're going to try to test Colorado's tackles because that is a significant weak point of this team, and it was last year, and they didn't get super tested by North Dakota State. I think they're going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to establish a run game and chew clock and essentially just bulldoze us. I'm sure you will see some insane Dylan Raiola, Mahomes sidearm crazy stuff, do his little waddle walk. But yeah, I'm attempting to see, or I'm expecting to see you guys just try to bulldoze us.
I disagree slightly. From what I saw, and I don't know exactly what was happening with Nebraska's wide receivers last year, but it seems to be a wholesale upgrade this year, which is exciting because Nebraska's wide receivers last year needed to have a wholesale upgrade. So I think you'll see deep passes. I think Raiola is really good at those, like really good, which is unique for an 18-year-old. So I think you will see play action bombs as much as possible. I do think they'll air it out a little bit more. I'm not a huge Satterfield fan, just especially from his time at South Carolina and some other spots. So I know he likes complicated playbooks a little bit, or at least he did. And he also loves play action. I would expect to see play action. But I would expect a lot of he's down there somewhere throws. And oftentimes they are.
I would think we'd come out and establish the run early just because I'll give you my take on this. I see Colorado as still a very undisciplined team. The Shedeur Sanders thing. I think if you start to beat teams up early in a game, you can get them frustrated and you can get them into a mode where they're making mistakes. And that's where we're going to see, the Colorado defense particularly have problems. Plus, if I was going to be the offensive coordinator, one of the things I would like to do is keep the Colorado offense off the field. And I think that's exactly what North Dakota State did. You guys gave up so many yards on those quarterback draws. I mean, I sat there watching the game, and my rotten son is sitting next to me, and I'd say he's my rotten son because he went to the University of Minnesota, just so you know that. Mm-hmm. But I'd look at him, and I just look at the TV and say, draw, quarterback draw, and then he'd run for, 8-9 yards, probably minimum every time they ran that play.
Yeah,
did they just set that up well, or is the defense just not prepared for it? First game stuff. What's the deal?
Ryland, give me 3 points. First, ski you mom. Second, I think that Robert Livingston in the first half was doing a lot of, I don't know if you would call it NFL stuff. That's where he came from, but it's a lot of straight man-to-man, and they took advantage of that. I think in the second half you saw the adjustment of more of a zone and wait and see on defense, and North Dakota State scored on one drive in the second half, and that's kind of the difference there. And third is Tim Polishek is a incredibly experienced offensive coordinator, and also totally on me too. First year head coach, but not first year coach, especially not North Dakota State's program. They were an oiled machine. That dude did not miss passes. By that dude I mean the quarterback Miller. And he knew when to tuck it and run. So all three of those added up to, like you said, pretty easy gains for North Dakota State. But also CU stopped them when it mattered the most, which was encouraging to see also. And I would imagine you see more zone going forward as a result.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, believe it or not, I agree. I've said that a lot today. But yeah.
He takes all your points. He doesn't even leave you anything.
He does.
He's like, he's like a Sanders for just, it's all mine.
I wanted to say ski you ma, and he took the ski you ma from me, and now I'm mad. Yeah, Cam Miller is really, really, really good. And this is a 4th-year quarterback who's played really high-level FCS football. Dylan Raiola, he's just 18. He's only played UTEP, which is not a good team. I don't know if you're going to be able to see Dylan Raiola basically pull up and run for 30 and recognize pass coverage like that. We'll have to see. They were playing man really early because they weren't expecting North Dakota State to basically run a spread offense because that's not what they've done in the last 13 years. All they do is run power, and they weren't quite prepared for that. And you saw them realize at halftime, say, hey, they're running the spread. Let's play zone defense and stop it. And they did score once in the second half. So you got to give them credit for making the adjustments and, saving that game. But yeah, that's, that the defense is definitely a concern.
Many points out he's 19. Thank you very much. Because I didn't tell you this. The guys met Minnie before the show. She's helping with the comments in the background. Minnie is a Dylan Raiola stalker, just so you know that.
He's very good. He's very fun to watch. I get it.
Very, very good.
You look at Nebraska's secondary versus Minnesota's, Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, whatever they have, the highly talented receivers. I don't think we have enough guys in the backfield to keep up with those guys. If we're just playing what is the game you used to play, 400, where you yell
500, yes.
Yeah, that whatever it is. If it comes down to that, we're gonna probably lose. But reverse that. I think Nebraska, you've mentioned that we do have upgraded receivers. Number one, who scares you the most? And number two, Minnie is holding up something in the background. They can't see that. Okay, number one, who scares you the most of our receivers if you watched the first game? And number two, do you have a secondary that can keep up with our receivers across the board? We know Travis Hunter can.
I don't really know a whole ton about Nebraska's wide receiver room. Cop-out answer is the person who scares me the most is Dylan Raiola. I saw those throws. I saw him throw across his body 35 yards to the corner of the end zone. That's really impressive. The Mahomes comparisons, they're there for a reason, right? Secondly, Colorado's secondary is very, very good. Very good. You have obviously Travis Hunter. You have Shedeur Sanders back there. You have Liberty transfer Preston Hodge at nickel, who was very good for the Flames last year. New Year's 6 appearance. You have DJ McKinney, who Oklahoma State transfer, a little less established, I guess, but there's certainly potential there. Deion has been using his status as a very elite cornerback to kind of tap into that talent pool and bring elite secondary talent to Colorado. That is by far our defense's biggest strength would be the secondary. So I would expect them to have a big game against Nebraska.
Do you want to add anything, Jack, or did he take all your points this time?
No, I think he did. Well, he took some. That was I can see the frustration now. I'm sorry, Ryland. I think I was trying to find his name because I could not get the last name in my head. Obviously, Nayor is great.
Jamal Banks.
Sorry, thank you. Yes, Jamal Banks. He was fun. Let me ask you a question back. Is Thomas Fadone hurt? Is he
no?
Okay. Just wasn't.
I don't think. I think his father is actually watching this chat. He's made some comments earlier, but I don't think that. I think they ran a couple middle screens, middle tight end screens to Fadone, and he wasn't. I don't think they put him in the best position to make plays, but he's not hurt, and I expect him to be part of this offensive scheme this weekend. I think he is a really good tight end and potentially. I don't want to say game breaker, but a guy who's going to wreak havoc. That's what I want to say. He's going to wreak havoc.
Yeah. I think what you're seeing with Florida State right now is what happens when the defense doesn't have linebackers that can match with other parts of it. And that you can argue is also CU's weakness on the defensive side of the ball is linebackers. I think Fidone, excuse me for the pronunciation, will be uniquely positioned to take advantage of that. If he's the guy I remember who's like 6'8" and a bowling ball, that scares me a lot because that's the exact type of person that there just really isn't someone on CU's roster built to defend that yet.
Okay, question. Big Red Bass says, did Shedeur play every down at quarterback last season? Is his backup any good?
He did not. He got hurt. Was it during the Washington State game, Ryland?
Yeah, it was like midway through the second quarter of the Washington State game.
Yep. And then his backup, Gavin Cold, and a few other people took snaps that game. And then Ryan Staub, who was a freshman, played the Utah game. And if 2 Travis Hunter touchdowns aren't called back for, I guess this is a fan show, so I can be biased, for I would say not real reasons, then Ryan Staub does win that game against Utah last year, which is pretty fun. I think he's a different player. He's much more West Coast. I know he'll actually run it more than Shedeur in some ways. But, I think I'm happy with him as the quarterback backup.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryan Staub's really good.
Aaron Rostowski says, I haven't been around for some of the show. Has Shedeur Sanders made an appearance? Has John been a good boy tonight? I've been fairly good about pronouncing his name, Shedeur, right? How do you pronounce? What is the because I always think it's Shedeur.
Shedeur,
Shedeur.
it's like doer. Yeah.
Is it?
It is Shedeur.
So it's supposed to be fancy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. I'm not very fancy myself.
Bourgeoisie down in Boulder. We got a fancy quarterback.
So yes, Aaron, I have been pretty much a good boy because I don't know. There's levels of, waiting to get my shots in or something.
Yeah, I was expecting more shit slinging. Really, it hasn't been too much. John, you're just too
yeah,
good a
that's
guy.
true. You know what? It's like I'm getting old. And I'm that Rutgers. I'm Rutgers Howers in Blade Runner. All these moments will be lost in time, like tears in the rain. That's where I'm at.
Definitely doesn't out you as too old. Is referencing Blade Runner in that. Yep.
Okay. Mike Corrigan says, can Scum generate a pass rush?
I hope so. I mean, 7 TFLs last game wasn't too shabby. A few sacks. That's why you bring in BJ Green, who's as experienced as they come. That's why you bring in Deion Hayes and Sam Okunlola. They have guys who have done it before at the Power 5 level and generated a pass rush. I also quite like CU's edge coach, Vincent Dancy. I think he's a really solid coach. I don't know. They also blitzed more than they did almost all of last year, I think, against North Dakota State. There's a lot of blitzing. So I think so. I think from what I recall with Nebraska, the left tackle had to make a switch in fall camp. So that might be where they attack. But
Aaron Keene says, real question, do Jack and Ryland think CU's performance against North Dakota State was a fluke or a real problem, level of concern on a scale 1 to 10? Can I answer this?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what? I think the thing is North Dakota State is they've been giant killers throughout their years of playing FBS teams. So, my God, I am not slinging enough shit at you sons of bitches. I'm making excuses for you. You damn near lost to an FCS school that's in North Dakota, a state that's known for being like the 3rd largest nuke power in the world. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, I would say the spread ended up at around 10 points or 9.5 points. And you take one football cleat interception away that was on 3rd and goal, which was one of the craziest bounces I think I've seen in football. And CU covers that spread. There's a few other things that happen. Obviously, you can't take away plays in football, but that was a pretty fluky one, if we're going to use that word. And I don't know. I think CU last year loses this game. I think it was actually pretty – I was glad that CU won the game. You want to win by more, obviously. You want to do the Oklahoma State thing where they beat South Dakota State by 24 points. But if you can't do that, then at least win against a team that's been a good team for 10 years. And say one thing about North Dakota State, but they will tell you what you're bad at. And that's what I think what happened on Thursday.
Yeah, I think what did they've won 9 national championships in the last 13 years. Like, that's a good team, and that's a good win in my eyes. But yeah, the defense was concerning. We were promised basically a complete revamp and overhaul, and that's not what we saw. We saw a lot of the same stuff from last year, which was the linebackers were a problem. They weren't able to stop crosses across the middle of the field. My level of concern is a 3 out of 10, I would say.
So in Nebraska, we would call that drinking the Kool-Aid.
What do you guys? Isn't it drinking the Roulade in the last few
Well,
years?
you could, you know what I mean, but here's the thing. Maybe in another 2 years, we could say it's drinking the Roulade. I'm ready for him to have a good team and prove himself, but I'm not 100% sold. My God, I am being wishy-washy. But what do you guys have a phrase for when you rationalize stuff in Colorado?
I don't know if it's an official one, but fan is short for fanatic, man. If you're not rationalizing stuff, then what are you doing?
But doesn't it involve like a joint or whatever? What do they call them these days? A blunt, something. Come on. Okay.
Go ahead.
Thomas Fedoni says, hopefully they have designed plays for the tight ends. And then later on, James Boardman, wherever that went, come on. James Boardman says they need to get Fedoni downfield. Those screens were a waste of talent. I think that I don't disagree with this. I think Fedoni can wreak a lot of havoc. I think the screens that he was running in that game, I think there's still going to be a place in listen, I like screens. I like misdirection. I like the outside screens, but they all have to be timed well and they have to be run correctly. So I guess we're going to see what happens with this game against Colorado. Did I click on that? Or did Minnie click on that? Okay, Vegas Sports Gaming says, I just click. It's the dementia thing. Vegas Sports Gaming says, as an Illinois fan, I'm pulling for you guys. I hope you beat the crap out of the Fighting Deions. You guys had the game won if Sims didn't fumble it away. Colorado couldn't even get a 4th in inches.
Yeah.
There's your Jeff. There's your hoping that Jeff Sims is back this year.
Yeah, I guess if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, right? From my last tally, I think Colorado's beaten Nebraska, and Nebraska hasn't won against Colorado for 5,000 days. So it's too bad it didn't happen, but it didn't.
Okay, there you go. No, how much of the nation do you think is rooting for Colorado in this game versus rooting for the? Then let me get into this. Okay, you want the slinging. Let me phrase this like this. How many people in the country do you think are rooting for good, wholesome Nebraska versus evil, flashover substance Colorado? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I've done a lot of traveling in the last year or so, and I've got a lot of SCO buffs in really random places, so they're definitely out there. A lot of the Colorado fans, that's certainly real. Kind of what I've taken away from this is I don't know how many people are actively, like, you see those insane viewership numbers. I don't know how many people are actively rooting for Colorado or just interested observers. I think that I would expect probably more people probably rooting for the Buffs because Deion Sanders and Shedeur and Travis Hunter, that's, more name power than Matt Rule and Dylan Raiola. I'll say 60-40 Colorado fans.
I will just answer with a quote from bowling legend Pete Weber when he said, hate me or love me, you watched, because that's all you could do.
That is a good point. And I think that this game is going to be at 6:30 Saturday night. I am going to be there. Are either of you going to the game?
I'm going.
Yeah, you're going to be in the press box.
I will, yes.
So there's no drunken slobbering before the game for you.
Nope. Unfortunately, there might be a Runza run but we'll
Okay.
have to.
Just so you know, when are you getting into town?
Friday night.
Okay. Friday night, Corn Nation is having a gathering. We think at Kincaid's at 7:30 p.m. But we'll be down in the Haymarket, me and my merry band of whoever the hell shows up. Let's see. The other thing is Linda Wilkins said somewhere to smash the like button if you're on YouTube, which I would. I I missed it. She says, there you go. Hey, folks, smash the like button if you're on YouTube because it helps with the algorithm. We do now have coordination, have shows on almost every night of the week for YouTube, live shows. Tomorrow night, Andy Ketterson will be talking about football. He'll be in the press box because I don't belong in a press box. I don't know if you probably realize that or not, but I'm going to be sitting in the stands with the people as part of the people. Have we gone like, should we do predictions? You guys want to do predictions? Yes, you do.
Let's end it there. Let's do it.
Where do we want? You know what? Let me pull some up. This is way back 806. Never mind me said 41-24 Nebraska, my official prediction. Thomas Fedoni said, never mind, that is my score prediction as well, 41-24. Let me get rid of those and let's see if there's any more. Justin Rogie early on said Nebraska 37, Colorado 28. Jared Jones says, I hope Nebraska spanks Colorado's ace, which is,
Okay.
you know,
I don't know where that is, but okay.
You know where it's right
one.
next to your patootie. That's where it is. Here I missed this one earlier. We're gonna get to it. Devlin Plantega says, I watched the Colorado game and Nebraska game. I think honestly, and this hurts my feelings, both teams are going to go 8-4, 9-3. Both games were fun to watch. Obvious issues with both teams' defense. I think this weekend is going to boil down to whatever D can get some stops. That's reasonable.
Very reasonable.
Okay, let's see. We're going down the list here. We got a lot of comments. And I'm old and slow. Not like Rutger Hauer and Blade Runner. Let's see. David Matney says Nebraska 35, Colorado 24. East Coast Kev says Colorado 51-12. I guess we invited everybody. James Boardman says Nebraska Huskers 42, Buffalo's 31. Sam Matney says 31-27 Nebraska. If it's that close, I'm probably not going to make it through this game alive. Tiger Shark Diver says 38-21. Book it. He's of course predicting Nebraska because he's here all the time. DJ Cruz says I'll be in the student section, and I'm just going to hope we all don't get ejected like Colorado student section in 2005.
If you guys do that, that would be amazing because I don't know where you'd find that many snowballs to throw. But hey,
that's true. Okay, David Matney did say no one outside of Colorado is rooting for Colorado. I think that I don't know if that's true. You guys seem to have, you're like Texas now. You just see people with shirts on. You just see people with shirts on, and you're like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Do you actually know what that means? Did you just? But what is that on the? Was that on the clearance rack? What the hell?
It's a designer brand now.
Yeah, so I can say that part is definitely untrue just because of the amount of people that I sit next to that travel every week for the games in Boulder. It's crazy. People come in from Virginia, Mississippi, Texas, often flying in, Atlanta. It's been very fun to become more national that way.
You know why that is?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not because of the long-lasting love they have for the University of Colorado, that's for sure.
It's because they're all trust fund babies.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. We know.
Hey, whenever gets the NIL money rolling, man.
Okay. Does Colorado have a good NIL program? NIL? I call it NIL because I'm an idiot.
Okay. It's okay.
Isn't it?
It's definitely much better, obviously, than it would be if Deion Sanders is not the head coach. It's not Nebraska. It's not even Washington, I would say. Closer on par would be I think Arizona is pretty close to equal. So, wherever that puts you.
Okay, Andy Harris, 55-14, Nebraska. Burnt World says 34 in 24 NU. Asif Ahmed says 42 to Nebraska, 42, Colorado 24. That's a popular one. Don Dre, Nebraska 35, Colorado 14. Hard Work says 77 to
Yes.
nothing, Sco Buffs. And Melissa Gitchell says 49 to 36 Huskers. Okay. And then Husker Chuck says, God help us why somebody made this reference.
I love it.
Husker
That
Chuck
was my
says,
answer. That was my score prediction. You stole it from me. Again.
Son of a bitch. Nobody should bring these numbers up. Okay, I'm going to collapse now. Husker Chuck says, maybe we can instantly get back to elite by winning 62 to 36. You know, I got thrown out of houses for that game.
Well, if we celebrated right, so did we, man. So I get it.
You know, the one thing that nobody should ever say to me when they're watching a game is it's just a game. It's just something. It's like saying, it's the worst thing in the world, and an explosion. On my deathbed, I would rise up. Somebody, it's just a game. Go right for the throat. East Coast Gav gives a $10 super chat. Thank you. With all due respect to Matt Rule, you don't have the secondary to stop Colorado. Travis Hunter embarrassed them last year. Imagine what Wester Shepard and Thorne will do with Travis will do. And those are three really good weapons. I guess I would respond to that by saying it's going to be hard to throw when you're running around the entire game. I think that's the key. See, did you watched last week and you saw Todd Robinson? I'm getting tired. So my pronunciations are starting to go away, even worse than before. You saw Ty Robinson on a few plays come off the edge almost and squash the opposing quarterback. I would think that what we would want to do on defense is we have Ty Robinson and the Nut Masher occupy space. We don't rush them up the field. We don't, they occupy blockers, and then we turn our linebackers loose if we want to blitz or if we want to rush after Shedeur. I don't think that Shedeur, sorry.
I heard it. You're getting your mojo back. Here we go.
I would think that's what we want to do on defense with the front seven is, Ty and Nut Masher just occupy space, occupy blockers, free up linebackers, and then we crush you guys into the ground. Evan Seption says, 37 to 30, go Big Red. Husker and Hanover says Nebraska 28 to 14. And then Charles Huntsman comes in with an actual pertinent question when we were just like flying off all over the place. So what's going to happen once the Sanders boys are gone and Hunter? Oh, I'm going with 38 to 27 Huskers. What is going to happen? What do you think? Just project, speculate.
Yeah. So I think, CU has a very public courtship with Julian Lewis, who's a 5-star quarterback in the upcoming high school class. And I think their goal is to go straight from Shedeur Sanders to Julian Lewis or Juju Lewis. I don't know if that's going to happen because USC has his current commitment, and it's hard to bet against Lincoln Riley with a quarterback. So quarterback's a question mark, which is Shedeur Sanders leaving. Travis Hunter is irreplaceable. Don't try to do it. There is still talent at the receiving core, as we've mentioned, and there will be talent. Omarion Miller, former Nebraska commit, is very good and will continue to be so as he develops. On the defensive secondary side, once again, you cannot replace Travis Hunter, but if there's one thing that Deion Sanders should be able to do is recruit cornerbacks, as Ryland mentioned. So they'll continue to do that too. So all in all, this is a year. You gotta take a step. If you have one of the best quarterbacks in college football and the best player in college football, you better win some games. But I don't think there's going to be a massive cliff to drop off, but there will be a drop off in 2025. That would be my answer.
I think Michael Hausman says 0-12 will happen.
Oh, I hope not. I mean, we've been 1-11 twice. That wasn't very fun, but hope not 0-12. I don't think so. I need to look at the non-conference schedule, but I think we play someone like New Hampshire next year. So
I think we get Wyoming next year at some point too, and they look terrible against Arizona
that was
State.
rough.
The idea that you guys are even contemplating that is mind-boggling.
That's
Yeah.
Colorado football, man.
Yeah. You get used to it.
I guess all of us have PTSD from the guy that we fired, that one guy that was, anyway, I get the
Scholes?
idea. Yeah, that guy. Tiger Shark Diver says Shedeur is about to get murdered with that offensive line. LOL.
He already
Aaron
did last
Keene
year,
says-
man. Can't kill what's already dead.
Aaron Keene says, I live in Colorado. If we lose to CU, I'm going into witness protection, but if we win, buckle up. Do either of you have Nebraska friends?
I do.
I do not.
Oh,
Wait, Jack, you do?
I do, yes.
Do you fear their revenge?
I think CU's in a very fun position right now where it kind of feels like found money after the last 3 games. And by the last 3 games, I mean modern CU Nebraska history, starting from 2018 to what was last year. CU going 4-0 would be unbelievable. And obviously, I would never stop talking about that. CU going 3-1 is still very fun to me. I think this year is the first year that I'm actually very nervous, I would say. Nervous. And that comes with expectations, I guess.
Okay, Jason Reeves, 45-27. Why not? Tiger Shark Diver says cats don't count as friends. Okay, give me your prediction. Ryland, we know what yours is, don't we?
Well, as a joke, I'll give you my real one. My real one is 38-31 Colorado. I think that both these teams are going to put points up on the board, but I don't know if you guys have the secondary to keep up with our wide receivers, and I'm also being optimistic because this is my favorite team. So, being realistic about it. But yeah, I go with Jack, or I'm in the same boat with Jack. Yeah, I'm nervous about this one. I'm very nervous about this one because also if you guys beat us, there's a really, really realistic chance that you guys don't lose until you go to Columbus to play Ohio State, and that's going to be really annoying for me specifically. So, yeah, 38-31 Colorado.
Jack, before you start, if you just grab one of the cats and stare into its eyeballs for 2 seconds, they will reveal the secrets of the universe to you.
I'm ready for my prediction. Yeah, so I like scores in the 30s. It baffles me that after the UTEP game, the spread went, instead of going towards Nebraska, it went against Nebraska in some lines. So all offseason, when lines were available, Nebraska was about a 7-point favorite, and I think that feels right. They started dropping some places to a 5-point favorite for next week, which seems a little tight. My heart says I like the 38-31 Colorado. Let's make it more fun. Let's do 45-38 Colorado and just hope it's a track meet. That's my heart. And unfortunately, there are other organs here. So I don't know. I think my brain says unless we can get Dylan Raiola to turn the ball over more than 2 times, which has been a recipe for success for CU in the past against Nebraska, CU's probably not going to come away here. But I also think it's going to be pretty gross. So I'm going to say in that instance, 27-24 Nebraska will be my prediction.
Wow. Now, what do you mean it's going to be pretty gross? Just the fact that we would win?
Well, always, sure. That's inherent in Nebraska winning. But more importantly, I just mean that Nebraska will be more comfortable with a game that ends up being a 5-minute drive to go 40 yards and punt it to hold someone at the 10-yard line, so then they can do the same thing, back and forth. So I in that instance, I don't think it'll be as high flying as anyone wants it to be.
This is it's Saturday night game in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I think what we've already seen in the first week is that teams are having difficulty. Well, we saw it at Colorado, didn't we? They had difficulty with the helmet communication where they couldn't hear as well as they thought they would. And do you think this will be a problem for Colorado? Because Dan, people are going to go deaf in this game. And I mean, people in the stands, they're just, that's it. They'll never hear again.
Mhm.
Do you think that will be an issue?
Yeah, it will be. If it was a problem all week, yeah, it's going to be. I know after talking to the coordinators that they understand that the new helmet radios are unreliable, especially the defensive staff, Robert Livingston. They're like, yeah, the radios aren't going to do anything when you're getting no huddle spread. Like, so they're prepared. They have other means of communication that they can rely back on. So I don't think that the noise is really going to be the biggest difference maker in terms of the helmet communications, but for sure they're not going to be able to hear anything.
I want to go with the 41-24 score. I just think that one of these two teams, I put it this way, in the past, Nebraska would get into a situation like they did last year where they would give the ball away and they turn over and things would snowball. And then I think we all know that game wasn't the ass kicking it looked like on the scoreboard, but things just came apart for Nebraska. I think this year's team is a different team than that. This last game, they fumbled. And then 2 plays later, they get a safety, and 2 plays later, they get a 59-yard touchdown. But honestly, I think Colorado is still the team that can get frustrated, can get turn undisciplined, and things can snowball against them if we don't start turning the ball over, which I don't think we're going to do, just because I'm me with the coordination stuff on, and you guys are evil. There you go. So I'll go with I think you're going to score some points. I put my 42-28 Nebraska. There you go. How's that sound?
Terrible. I don't like that at all. I disagree with head and heart. So hope not. But I can see the reasoning.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you guys want to talk about? I mean, you haven't even mentioned corn or farmers or beef or any of those things. It's still,
Are we still dealing with a helium shortage nationwide? Is that still happening?
Well, I think that they just realized that letting balloons go is, it's messy and that it is littering, and they're not going to do that anymore.
That's too bad. That was always fun. Well, I don't think I had anything else to cover, really. I don't know. Steve's in a very interesting position where it feels like everything that we can say has already been broadcast or talked about. And hopefully we bring in some interesting and unique insights, but there's a lot already out there, which makes things a little bit easier, I guess, on us, because we don't have to necessarily present the knowledge for the first time. We just have to make it fun. I don't think so. I will once again reiterate, Matt Rules, I think, belongs in college and is a very good program builder. It's upsetting to me that Nebraska made a hire like that after Scott Frost. But I think he's going to position Nebraska pretty well. And also, he's really hard to dislike, which was not the case with the prior coach. So that makes it tougher on us. I will also say, breaking news, the last thing before we go. I'm getting texts. I need to confirm if it's true, but I believe Scott Frost just joined CSU staff as we're talking.
Are you serious?
Colorado State?
Yes, I
thought he was going to work in the NFL.
I'm getting texts, but I don't know if it's true or not. I can't tell. I might be getting punked. This might be your producer sending me numbers. No, she's going to the Rams, LA Rams. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Wrong Rams.
Yeah.
Wrong
Yeah.
Rams.
Wrong Rams.
Wrong Rams. My
Yeah.
fault. Hand up. That was it. That's all I had.
All right. Let's see. Mike Corrigan does ask, who are the CU celebs on the sideline Saturday?
I don't think anybody wants to go to Lincoln, Nebraska willingly, so I wouldn't expect many.
Especially not if Highway Patrol is still doing weed checks at the border. That makes out.
Okay. All right. Let's see. we'll get the last few shots in. Nebraska has a top 10 defense bordering on top 5. Hunter will make some plays, but not enough. I already asked that one. I'm getting redundant here. Okay. It is Highlander Gun says it's my bedtime.
Me too.
You know what? There's still 12:01 to watch of a Florida State game, of which Florida State is losing 28-13 to Boston College. So, I mean, everybody likes watching train wrecks and Schadenfreude, that kind of stuff, and this is still a game on Monday night on Labor Day that's worth watching to the end because, well, first of all, I cannot believe that Florida State still has DJ Ukulele or whatever his name is in the game. That guy just can't throw the ball.
He's been the same guy for 5 years, man. You know what you're getting with him. It's crazy.
I know they went after Cam Ward and didn't get him, but okay. Well, I guess we'll end with this. That Shea Blatarski says FCU and all your douche nozzle fans. How's that for a parting shot?
That's a new one.
Yeah, I don't know. We got called that. Yeah, which part, Ryland?
What's up?
Which part?
Which part is new?
Douche nozzle.
Douche nozzle. Okay.
Douche nozzle is a new one. I might have to steal that.
Yeah, I guess I'm happy to play into the villain role if needed. So yeah, I don't know. Sorry about it, I guess, but it's been fun over here. Yeah.
East Coast Kev says, wait a minute, didn't he predict 77-0 earlier? He says Colorado wins 56-7. Okay, you know what? One of the things I'm not very good at is actually ending a show. There you go. Charles Huntsman says, good night. I've got to be up till 3 a.m. So we're coming to the end, and I never have an outro because for some reason, well, here's Minnie. She can do the outro.
The outro is look out for the overreaction from Saturday's game. It will be out tomorrow and for members possibly tonight. So check that out with Haas and Greg. And then make sure you're here for Thursday night's 5 Heart podcast. And go Big Red. John?
Okay, there you go. That's the ending. You guys could, Jack and Ryland, you guys can come back for our other shows and, make comments and things and watch. And, we do, I think, some decent content. One of our guys, Haas Reuter, actually wanted to be a grad assistant and knows a lot more about football than any of us know. And he usually breaks down the games and stuff like that so people would enjoy. There you go. Husker Chuck says, John, gradually play the theme music quiet and gradually bring up the volume. Okay, I need to end this. Thank you guys for showing up, and I don't think I was as tough on you this year as I was last, Jack.
No, it's because of my effortless charm. It's just hard, It's hard to get tough on me.
You know what it is?
What is it?
You know what? It's the cats. One of them was on the back of your chair and did this leap across, and now it's sleeping behind you, and it's just, you can't. This is what you did this on purpose.
I know. Well, they're 4 months old. They're very young, so they don't quite understand decorum or when I'm talking about CU winning, but they'll learn. They'll learn in time. And they've only ever seen an undefeated Colorado, so I can see why they're so confident.
So sooner or later, they'll just be dejected and horrifyingly depressed.
Welcome to life, baby. That's what happens.
All right. And on that note, good night, everybody. Thank you guys for showing up. There you go. Good night.